Hello, welcome everyone. Jen Gilchrist here. Super happy to be leading this month by month reading for January of 2021. So this is something I have previously this past year done in my membership group, but I decided I wanted to do this on a public forum. So whether you're seeing this on my Facebook group or page or on YouTube, this is going to be something that I do each month where I break down the energy of what you can be looking forward to and what to expect in the month for each month, essentially. And what that does is it starts to create a little bit of an energetic, it grounds the energy a bit. It lets you kind of be aware of what might you need to do or be aware of in order to align with that highest path. What might you be aware of in terms of mindset things, or what next steps might you need to take in order to surrender into aligning with the highest energy so that you can co-create that which you desire in your life and in your business. So say hello as you're joining, whether you're live or on the replay. And so this first week, since it hit on a weekend, I'm going to go ahead and do from the beginning of the month through the 10th of January to start with. Another announcement I'm going to make as well is today I actually have another announcement I'm going to be doing different for this year, just so that you can be aware of it, is each month I'm going to be doing a workshop series, and I'm going to be having that release each month on a different theme or topic, so you can work with me without a big commitment. It's just for that month where you'll receive a different topics that I'm reading the energy of the current energy of those that are really wanting this content. I always look at the energy of my community intuitively, psychically, and download what would be at the highest and best. And so there's going to be a flash sale the first Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each month, although these workshops will still be available at a great price down the road. But I did drop one today. So the Stand in Your Truth, Let Your Voice Be Heard is this month's theme. And so there is a great sale today at 35% off. If you would like to check that out, you can see that in the description as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to see who's here so I can check out the comments as well as we go along for this. And if I don't see your comments, then I will come back. I always like to check them once we are. Let's see. I'm just going to do it on my phone. I think today might be easier. You never know. Sometimes technology is a little fickle. All right. So looking at the comments, hey, Jenny. Hello, Lori. Excited. So whether I see you live or on the replay, I will always come back and like to check the comments. So let me know how this is resonating. Let me know what you're doing. How is this new year feeling so far? We're going to start with the Archangel deck, and I have a lot of decks here, so I pull from lots of different cards as we go along. So looking at the first week of January, what is it that we need to know? What is it that we need to expect? How can we really best align with the energy? Just saying the energy out loud, my intention again while I shuffle the cards. And one more, and we'll see what's coming up. Hey, Anya. Hey, Lorraine, Adriano. Awesome to see you guys all here. Okay, so for the first week of January, all the way through the 10th, so through next Sunday, if you're watching this live, the first one is claircognizance. And it says, Archangel Uriel, pay attention to the thoughts and ideas that come to you as they are answered prayers. Now, this is really powerful. Your claircognizance is a psychic ability that we all have, and it's the ability of knowing. And sometimes that's a harder one to trust, right? Because we don't have a vision, we don't have a feeling that's really strong. It's just can sometimes feel like a thought. But when you have these short, clear, concise, consistent thoughts that are giving you usually often action steps or ideas that keep coming, trust that as intuitive guidance. So take action on those inspired ideas that you're getting, because they are the answer to your prayers, right? That's part of the co-creation process, is that we get to be the conscious creator, and using and developing your intuition and your gifts is obviously one of my favorite things. I teach that in my Soul Success Unleashed course because it's so empowering, right? When you can lean in and trust that information and take action from that space. And so that's what it's saying. And I'm seeing also the rainbow light in here, and it feels like there's definitely that, your spiritual support team. Your spiritual support team is very present and supporting you as well. Hey, Kim. So the next one, clairsentience. We're getting a lot of intuition cards here already. So clairsentience says, Archangel Raguel, notice your reoccurring feelings and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So this is just telling me, tune in, make sure you have enough retreat time, alone time that allows you to be quiet and tuning in. I love the morning success routine. of really using meditation and journaling as a way to start your day, where you're connecting with the voice of your soul, your angels, your guides, really having enough time to quiet down and not just be reactive to the demands of your business or your family or the world, but instead be able to tune in daily. And because there's important information coming through, it feels like some of you may need to make sure to make more time if you haven't already, and just trust those intuitive feelings and insights that you're getting. Let me know how this is resonating. And if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear. Ooh, I love this. So teaching and learning, it says Archangel Zadkiel, keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So to part on this, be open and aware. Sometimes we ask for guidance about our purpose or developing your gifts or whatever it is for you, and then that will come back in the form of a teacher, right? So just recognize what workshops, what teachers, what programs might you be getting guided to take in order to develop your gifts. I know that if you're watching me, I tend to attract those who feel, whether you're clear on what your purpose is or not yet, you're a light worker, right? You feel a calling to support the world. And so in some ways it might be time for you to trust those intuitive guidance signals and get the training that you need to develop that. For the other part of you, and by the way, they could both apply. Teaching is part of your gift, right? Part of the work that you're here to do could very much be about these ideas and these inspirations that you've been getting. You may be being called to shift your niche a bit, teach a new workshop, come out of the box a little bit, and actually share your gifts in a new way with other people. Or maybe it's your first time. Maybe you know this, but you haven't quite done it. Feels like time to begin to take action on those ideas. So let me know how this is resonating as well. Ooh, I love this. So calcite is a crystal, and it says, take charge of your schedule during busy times and honestly assess your underlying reason for being busy. This is a good one, really important. So it does take me back to that masculine, feminine energy. I didn't call it that in the beginning, but we all have those energies within us and we need both. We're being called to lean into that feminine energy, which is that receptive, reflective, intuitive, quiet, slowed down energy to get to realign with your intuitive ideas and inspiration and then take action from there, right? So there's a little bit of a recalibration that would likely need to happen. And the other piece of this is when we're busying ourselves, sometimes there's underlying fear happening. There's an underlying fear or block that needs to be addressed because that we're avoiding by staying busy. So just notice, are you busy on something? And it could be that you're procrastinating, but this feels like you're busying your time and really your intuition, your spirit's calling you to do something different, but you don't want to slow down because then you have to feel in your body and get the message or feel the ache or pain that's saying slow down or whatever it is. Sometimes that fear manifests as busyness. And so pay attention to that and make sure you really give to that part of yourself that needs that break. Jenny says, yes, definitely been trying to keep my morning practices consistent daily and trust my intuition. It's definitely a great reminder. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And the last one for this particular week is coming into your power. I love this. It looks really powerful. It says, I step into my power boldly and confidently. And this is really cool because I see that pillar of light, right? As we're all ascending and awakening our chakras, which is, we did this a lot in my Soul Success Unleashed program. I see a lot of my people and my peeps in here. And that pillar of light, like when we're ascending into that fifth dimensional chakra column, that becomes to where they merge into this pillar of light above and below. And that is really our ascension process that we're in. And as we're doing that, we're embodying more light and we're embodying more of our higher truth and we're embodying more of our power in that moment. Actually, I just finished working on the second level one, the certainty into your, the second level Soul Success Unleashed one is all about this, where we have a pillar of light activation. So definitely tune into that for yourself. If you have any meditations or if you have any practices where you tune into your body and expand into your chakras, into that pillar of light, definitely take time to do that, because as you're doing that, this is really just validating, actually, also the process you're in is doing that. I feel like we're already doing that. If you're here, you are on your spiritual journey in a conscious way, and we're all at different levels of that, and that's okay and that's perfect. But this is your birthright, it's your divine right, and you're really being called to stand in your power and embody your light. I just love that. And when we do that, we manifest more quickly. We feel more aligned. We feel more fulfilled. We experience attracting more money and clients and opportunities that we need. And so sometimes it may also require us to do something like stretch out our comfort zone, right? Stand in our power, stand in your truth, which happens to be, that was just naturally came out the topic for this workshop, because I do feel where a lot of light workers have visibility blocks, or work, you're being called to speak their truth, really prioritize their time on their schedule this year. I also did an annual month by month reading that you might want to check out. That's free as well. You can check, I'll add that to the description here eventually, or you can type annual reading, but check the description because I'll be posting this in multiple locations. But that really breaks it down. And part of it really was about really being more standing in your power. And sometimes the busying can also be about prioritizing your schedule, right? Having boundaries. So let me know how this is resonating. I just did another mindfulness meditation, Lorraine. That's awesome. Those are all going to yield really powerful benefits at this time. Okay, so let's look at the next week, which is the week of the 11th, I believe, 11th through 17th. So let's look at what's to store for this month. And the beauty of doing this, again, when you do the month by month like this, it's not like you're totally going to remember everything I say, although you can definitely come back to that for sure. But it helps to create this like energetic framework. So your higher self begins to recognize like the information you're hearing at once and guide you. So it's really powerful. Now I'm feeling a different energy here. So working at the 11th through 17th, and we're going to work with some dragons, and we'll see what is coming on here. All right, so the first cards that are coming out, I should look at them one at a time usually, and then read it collectively here. Okay, so for the week of the 11th through 17th of January, it says opening to love. My heart is open. And so I just want to tune in intuitively. And what I'm feeling is, definitely it's the heart expansion, right? So tuning into your heart, connecting with your heart. That's where you hear your voice, your God of, that connection with the creator, right? With God, with source, is that tuning into your heart. It's also about tuning into your true heart's desires. I'm also seeing where you may be being called to heal. I'm seeing the water. So intuitively, I'm just picking up that's about really healing and recognizing and being conscious of your emotions. Remember in the first week too, a lot of feelings might be coming up. And so sometimes these feelings aren't to be stuffed down or ignored. It's very awesome actually, if you're experiencing new levels of healing that you're being called to in order to really embody your light and take back your power, right? So being really conscious of the feelings that you're feeling, honoring those feelings, and processing them so that you can have opening your heart, which allows you to receive more love, more financial abundance, more prosperity, more alignment. It's also receiving channel to receive intuition, right? And so it feels like there's some deeper healing going on that you want to honor and recognize. Hey Nars, hey Kristen. So communicating freely, okay, can't make it up. Communicating freely, it says I communicate from the depths of my being. And I just see where this is like tuning into our heart. Often all of the cards right now is it's really calling you into your power more, speaking your truth, being more cognizant and clear about what it is your heart's desires are. Sometimes having uncomfortable conversations, that might be part of it. Sometimes it might be having vulnerable conversations or vulnerable sharing in your business. You may be being called to talk about something that is a little bit less than mainstream. I know I went through a lot of visibility, like deep levels of healing, and I continue to do, right? It doesn't just end, to share on the topics of spirituality and psychic development that I teach, because, I came from a very conservative family and it wasn't widely accepted in that sense. And so noticing, what are you being called? If this is resonating with you, then you may be really called to the Stand in Your Truth workshop, which is just $37 this week. It'll be always available for $57, which is still awesome value. The value of it really would be $197 easily with all of that you'll get. So you can look at those details if this is resonating, because this card is very much exactly about healing your throat, your voice, the vulnerability, the fears around having those uncomfortable conversations where you may have repressed situations or feelings that is now being called to heal at a deeper level so that you can really stand in your power and be that messenger of truth if you're so called to, or even just in your relationships. A lot of this could be that we're healing in our relationships in order to align more with your message, right? So it all intertwines, especially for those of us that are called on a deep level to be of service in the world and supporting people in awakening, right? Melody says, hey Melody, good to see you here. Tanya signed up this morning. Woohoo! Yay, super excited. We do have one live call with that as well in a couple of weeks, but the module, you get access to that immediately. It's a video training, activation, clearing journey, usually of some kind that goes along with the workbook. And then we have a live aura reading and clearing that goes along with it. So tons of value. And that's a really powerful topic that I think I think all of us really have somewhere that we could heal a little bit more in that way. So we also have, I'm almost feeling called to pull one of those. I'll see. Oh, we're back to listening to our heart. So next week, just really be tuning into your heart, taking that time to connect with your heart, taking that time to really tune in. What's your heart's desires? I feel like making the space to what is it that you really desire? We're in the beginning of a new year. We cleared out so much last year, right? Oh my goodness, was at a time of deep purging in such a huge personal and collective way. No matter who you are, where you are, we may have had different things, and I feel like I experienced lots of miracles too. So it's not a bad thing or thing to be afraid of, but it is a deep purging, which creates this new canvas. What do you want to create now? Your goals, your ideas, your dreams, your business, your relationships probably have shifted now that you've elevated and aligned with more of who you are. And so this is really about tuning into your truest heart's desires. And now that I'm reading the message that was just intuitively, it says, I trust the messages I receive from my heart. So again, it's about trusting where you're being guided, trusting those inspirations and downloads, trusting those feelings and taking action on them, right? And then typically our miracles and our higher path is on the other side of fear. We have to get really good at navigating through our comfort zone and feeling the fears and working through our triggers and our past, and then to step into it. But it's definitely worth it, right? I don't even think any of you here that are watching this or called to this would be able to, and this is, I think, collectively, it came up in the collective annual reading. You're not gonna be able to pull the wool over your eyes in the same way that we used to, right? We're starting to notice things much more quickly in terms of misalignments, or where in the past, maybe we compromised ourselves a little bit or a lot, and we could go with it. Well, as we've had this transition and shift, it's not gonna fly. It's definitely not gonna fly anymore, which is a good thing. It's just gonna show up more loud and boldly and more quickly, which is awesome, because then we have the opportunity to transmute it and move into deeper alignment. At least that's the opportunity. And I love this. I hadn't even looked at this yet, but it says cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. And so just recognizing if you've had a tough time, you're not alone in that. Okay. You're definitely not alone in that. It's been an intense year. It's made us really surrender. I mean, a huge aspect of this year has really strengthened and deepened our faith in ourself, our trust and faith in ourself, in source, in the universe, and God, in being supported perhaps in your partner. If you had a business and it's changed a lot, maybe it's deepening into being supported by others. So there's many different ways that this is showing up for people. Essentially, this is speaking to a dark night of the soul, which we have many, and some of them are more extreme than others, but it's about accepting what is, right? Accepting what is and understanding that this is actually a gift. And the sooner that we can get from feeling victim or feeling powerless or feeling pissed off or whatever it is, and we can lean back and just connect in our heart and trust and be like, okay, thank you. Thank you, because I know on the other side of this deeper healing work I'm being called to do right now is my alignment, is my happiness, is my joy, is my freedom, is my financial success, is my partner, right? Whatever it is. And so really, really diving into that and acceptance, being in deep acceptance of what is on a big or small. Trust is my word for the year. Going to work on trusting myself more. Awesome. 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 Good afternoon, Kathy. This month is heavy on healing. It sure is, right? I feel like also it's a bit of integration. I feel like a lot of this stuff has already probably been stirred up in you and everyone, right? It's like this is we're just kind of we might still be in the thick of it or the tail end of it as we integrate into this new light and this new energy. So all that stuff probably got kicked up throughout 2020. And now it's like we're really at the tail end of really being called to process it fully and integrate into that light, because that's the first step of the creation process, right? Letting go of the old, making the room, that destruction, that divorce, or that job loss, or whatever it was, like that dark night of the soul moment is actually the first step of catapulting you into whatever that is available. And we can do that very quickly. And so I feel like this is really a call to like really deeply accept and go into the sediment of that, the final things of this round, at least, right? So you can process and integrate that and step into that new canvas of your heart's desire. And I pulled the Golden Chrysid Dragon, which is the last card for this week. Well, maybe one more the crystal deck wants to come through. Oh, thanks for the loves. Love it. Let's see, it says golden Christed dragon. It says brings your higher love so that you can embody the Christ light. Absorb Christ light. Let's see, absorb the Christ light. You are protected. Expand your heart and remain fifth dimensional. Awesome. That is a powerful one. Um, yeah, I feel like actually just kind of leaning into that for a minute, just leaning into that, just opening, because that Christ light is so powerful. I have a attunement activation and tool really that's made around that in my Soul Success Unleashed program. So for those, I see a lot of you on here, run that energy for yourself and perhaps for others if you're called, but just lean into that and open up and really call in that frequency. Right, lean into that frequency. And I think I'll just run that energy for, if you want to receive it, you just open your crown chakra, open your heart, and allow yourself to receive. Well, I just run this energy for us. It kind of helps to, we can send it to our future self, right? We can send it to ourself whenever we need it, including next week. That's a good tip that I forget sometimes myself, right? Sending your future self what it needs, right? That's another beautiful thing. So that's really powerful. I love that. So let me know if you felt that. Um, Jennifer says, you're my hero, literally. Awesome. I'm so glad to be able to support you and inspire you. Okay, so this is for the last one for that week. It says stress reduction. So this could be, again, I think so far we're just getting tuned in, be really aware of the feminine, the divine feminine within each of us, right? Which is the feminine energy of actually receptivity and hot salt baths and pampering and self-care and not busying ourselves and all of that. And it says de-stress your mind and your body and your schedule as you need to rest, recharge, and revive. And so take heed as we move into the middle of the month. All right, let's look at the next week. The next week is the week of the 18th through the 24th. So the 18th to the 24th. What do we need to know? Beautiful. A couple crystals. And what's beautiful too, if you resonate with the crystals, of course, there's messages that I'm sharing, but if you're a crystal person, those crystals could be really powerful as well. All right. And ooh, Gabriel, messenger angel. A lot on speaking our truth. We'll see. All right. So let's see here. Start in the beginning. So the crystal card, first one is ruby. It says, bless your heart. You guys, lots in the heart. Lots in the heart. A lot of maybe deeper levels of forgiveness work with yourself, with others. Even if you've hit, sometimes we get frustrated or annoyed. It's like, oh, this cycle again. I've already done this. I've already cleared it. Frustrating, right? Same pattern or same, you tune in and it's like the same thing from a relationship 10 years ago that you're like, why is this coming up still? I thought I healed it. Well, you did. You healed it to the best of your ability at the time, right? But we're really being called, like I said, into deep, deep, deep the sediment of some of these patterns to really step more fully into this next year and into your alignment and into your life, really beyond this year. So it says, bless your heart, reach out for emotional and spiritual support to heal and mend your heart. So if you do need support, definitely reach out for that. I do have a forgiveness freebie that has a powerful 4-step process for forgiveness as well. You may really be called to this month's workshop. Actually, I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but the Stand in Your Truth workshop, we do some deep levels of deeper than what the freebie goes into, but similar in the sense of really freeing up the deeper healing around that. So just whatever it is, though, honor it. Just honor where you're at and understand that you went as deep as you could go with the healing at the time, with the tools that you had and the support that you had. And now if it's coming up for you, it's coming up to heal more deeply. And it could be fresh things. It could be new things as well. So just recognize that your room is so beautiful. Thank you. I did a little overhaul last year in January and I love it. It's very, very me. I love the ocean and swimming with the wild dolphins is my favorite. So it feels like that for me. Socialize or join in, Solidite. Make healthy and supportive new friendships, connections by getting involved with a group of like-minded people. So many of you may be being called to go deeper levels of group, whether it's a group program or a Facebook group like this, right? If you're seeing this, because I feel like I'm going to be posting this on YouTube and on my business page, I do have a Facebook community, a free community, Soul Inspired Leaders Collective. I also have paid group programs, as well as many other people do. So keep your mind open and allow yourself to not get in isolation. I feel like there is this sense of being alone a lot this year, especially with the shelter in place still happening in a lot of places. I know we actually have a shelter in place where I am currently again. And so there is a level of not being as social, and sometimes that can create depression as well. On an emotional level. And so and that's part of receiving, allowing yourself to be supportive, reaching out to a friend. Maybe you have a best friend or somebody you haven't talked to as much that, you miss chatting with, have a Zoom call with them, get that support that you need. Be connected, get connected with those people that inspire you, right? You want to be involved with people and with mentors who are where you have aligned values, right? But is further down the road perhaps, or has something similar. And when it comes to business or even with really your spiritual path, right? They're all related in that way. And so really just find that community that makes you feel seen, right? And heard and acknowledged for who you are. Because often our family won't get our spiritual path as well. So I feel like I start reading all over the board because I feel like I'm reading for a lot of people. So there's that spiritual, path when we start to awaken. Sometimes I know I was raised in a very conservative Christian family. And while I see some differences, but at the core, I feel the values, of what are not as different as maybe a religious group might feel it is, right? So definitely it's not accepted in my family. When I had this awakening, I'm like, wait, what? It was almost like, okay, so then I felt more alone. So some of us may have that wounding of not feeling misunderstood, right? Or accepted for who we are, in which case you maybe have been repressing part of that yourself. And you can't preach to the choir if they're not going to get it, that's fine. But it's also about just being who you are, right? So that could be some of this repression stuff coming out too, is really aligning and expressing and embodying that higher truth of who you are. I believe at the core is our purpose on life is to align, embody, and express our divinity. And so we're being called to that next level. And then many of you will also be called to share and be of service in the world. So let me know how that's resonating. Now we're going to move on to the Black Dragon from Saturn. It says, brings you wisdom through spiritual discipline. And so this is where, and you can always look at it as a devotion, right? Devotion to what matters to you. So sometimes there is some level of structure does really help. So to me, I know sometimes I may not feel like waking up and meditating right away, but I know how much it changes my entire day in life to do it. And so therefore I've created a discipline to sit down, at least even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, and do it. Right. And then a lot of times much longer, because that's when we connect with our creativity and our downloads and our ideas. It's how I create my programs and all of it. Right. So, and my ideas come that way, but only if I give space for it. And I know that. And so I do it even when it's uncomfortable. And that's important, because usually if there's some stop energy, it's something else. It's a fear, it's something we're ignoring, it's other people's expectations or demands on our time. We're feeling something, we're matching the collective energy as empaths, right? Whatever it is. And so when we do that, we immediately feel better and shift our vibration. So that's really important to have a spiritual routine, I believe, and have that commitment and devotion to aligning and feeling good, right? Aligning with your higher self and with source is really, really, really powerful. So the next one is Earth and Air, and it says represents a perfect balance of heaven and earth. And it says stay balanced and grounded in your vision, manifest your dreams, your hopes and dreams. And so I do feel like this is now, it's almost like the first couple of weeks was definitely making space for that continued healing and that divine feminine, that internal space, right? Now we're continuing that. And I think this is going to be like forever, right? We're going to be continuous, this is what we're shifting collectively, right? The age of Aquarius. There's so many different ways of people's labels and how they talk about it and how I talk about it, and everybody talks about it, right? You got to kind of label it to talk about it. But it's like, whether you look at it as like embracing the divine awakening of the divine feminine, or the age of Aquarius, or stepping into the 5D, all that is deeper alignment, right? Deeper embodiment, and leading from our intuition, leading from our inner truth and heart's desires, and taking action from there in all areas of our life, including business. And it's important to have the masculine energy, and so that is in here. This is where we have to ground it into action, and have the courage to write the blog and hit publish, or do the video, or do the work, right? Or do our meditation practice, which is how we allow that to come in to begin with, to find what action to take. But it's about leading from that divine feminine inner intuition, and then taking action with our divine masculine, and having that balance. Okay, and recognizing when you get out of balance, you'll feel burnt out. You'll feel exhausted. The out of balance masculine energy is push and go, which is really the patriarchal energy, which is the distorted aspect, right? The unhealthier version of where we're pushing and forcing and, doing in that way, versus getting our inspiration and then taking action. You will feel fulfilled with energy, right? And you won't be hitting as many roadblocks, and you won't be feeling burned out and doing all this busy work for a little gain. So just recognize, where are you at, right? Where do you need to lean into, or do you need to take action? Sometimes the way that it was showing up earlier with the calcite card about busyingness or procrastination or overwhelm is underneath that. There's a fear. Well, why are we not taking action? I have to address that, and then just feel the fear and do it anyways, right? And then and some of the cards were already showing, and get the support that you need, or get the training that you need, or whatever it is you're being called to. Everyone's got a little bit different next step. Hey, Tracy, good to see you here. Okay, so the last two cards for this week, and we'll move into the last week, is perfectionism and authenticity. So I love this. So perfectionism says publishing or polishing your creative project is fine, but don't allow perfectionism or to result into procrastination. So I didn't look at this, but we were just talking about that, right? Don't allow how things, the perfectionism, right? Done is better than perfect, for one thing. We can always do better. You get to reassess, but that is perfectionism is a very, very big common way that fear manifests itself. We think we have to have all this stuff perfect before we ever do it. You can plan out almost an entire business with all these ideas and never do it because it's not perfect yet. But the reality is, it's never going to be perfect the first time. But guess what? You don't have to look at it like that. And there's always room to upgrade. There's always room to upgrade. And people are going to be forgiving, right? I have typos go out. I have things happen, right? But it happens. It just happens. It's better than me not putting it out, right? At all. And then what do I get to do? I get to upgrade for next time. And so that's what this is saying too, is authenticity, is trust that your real self, God created divinely perfect, and you have the strength and knowledge needed for the situation. So just trusting you have what you need, trusting you don't have to be perfect, trusting you're going to get better as you practice. This is mastery. Mastery doesn't happen overnight. Mastery comes through practice and through commitment and through seeing, continuing to do something over and over again. And then pretty soon you're masterful at it. And every time you get better at it, right? But that's different than getting stuck in that perfectionism and just never pressing live on the replay on the thing because you're afraid you will stumble on a word, right? Which I totally understand that, because I had those fears too, right? But public speaking, my biggest fear, took me a bit to get through, but that's okay. We live and we learn. And we do better, right? But we can't do better if we don't start it. And every time I run a program, it gets tightened up and better the next round, right? So we just have to be willing to be imperfect and not accepted by everybody and not liked by everybody. We're not meant to serve everybody, and that's okay. That's our uniqueness. That's where authenticity comes in, and speaking our truth. And this is, I think, also where the workshop of Stand in Your Truth is really helpful, because a lot of times that comes through watered down in our content and in our marketing and in what we're selling, because it's like, well, I don't know, like trying to fit ourselves into some mold. And that can happen on purpose through fear of, not wanting to show up visibly and vulnerably, afraid of being rejected or whatever judgment of others it is. And then the other aspect of it is sometimes we can just do it because we get into our head, into that masculine energy of trying to do it right and following the instruction of a coach or whatever. And so either way it goes, the more that you're authentic in your voice and authentic in who you are and in your energy, people feel that integrity. People feel when you're walking your talk, like people are going to be forgiving of you if you make a mistake in your words, because they can feel you, right? They can feel your truth. And yeah, and I think it also is inspiring because it makes them feel more able to do it themselves, right? You're inspiring them to action if they don't feel they have to live up to some perfect thing, which is just not, it's just not, nobody's perfect, right? But we are perfect in our own way, but it doesn't mean perfectionism, right? That's, we are perfect in our own right. And you have the information you need, and the information you need will come to you as you begin to take action, right? I'm so excited for this workshop on standing on our truth, for it's right on your path. Awesome. Lorraine says, live and learn. You cannot control others or how they react. 100%. Candace says, oh my goodness, second time I've heard that today. Done is better than perfect. Yes. Okay. Well, then you probably have a download, which was in the first week, if you were on here, of the month. You can listen to the replay. Take action on those inspired ideas, right? Don't let fear stop you. They're divinely guided, right? Okay, so I'm looking at the 25th through the 30th, which is the last week of the month. All right, and you can invite your friends to the group here if you feel like they could use community. Community came up for sure. I'm going to be have some really exciting things planned in terms of in the group here, as well as following. I'll be sharing this on my business page. So you can share this out with your friends. I'm going to be doing more activity on YouTube, all kinds of things to give support, because I definitely feel we're all going through a massive expansion, and I know that it's so much easier to do when you have that reflection of people who believe in you and can see you and can acknowledge you for who you are. Sometimes our family and our friends that we've been in our life for a long time don't, and it's not on purpose necessarily. It's not like something they're mean to do, but they reflect back to you that version of yourself from 20 years ago. They can't quite, if they're not on the same spiritual path or evolution process that you're on, it might feel more and more and more invalidating and hard to stand in that what you've transformed into in the face of people that you've known a long time who aren't also growing and shifting and changing or don't quite understand the path that you're on, which is another an important reason why I feel like light workers are rising. We're finding our soul family. It's really exciting in that way. Well, we love our family and our friends that have been there forever, even if they'll never quite have the same conversation that we're having here today or believe in that. But it's important to have that reflection of other peers and mentors and teachers and on that actually see your higher potential and see you as a spiritual being, see you, who you are and who you're growing into and what your dreams are, and hold that with you. That's really, really important. Let's see. It says, I joined just now, but the words which I'm listening to now is just perfect timing. Awesome. Super excited. I love that. You followed the synchronicity. You took action on the guidance, right? Then let's see. Then no longer a part of my story. Yes. It's like taking our power back, which is again in that first week. All right. Let's get to this last week here. Although I could sit here and do this all day. I love spiritual talk. Okay. So the 25th through the 30th. So the last week of the month. Dark Blue Galactic Dragon invites you to listen to the voice of the universe. And so this is really powerful. So as we keep going through this ascension process, we're really expanding again to that kind of call back to that first week of like expanding into the fifth dimensional chakra system, into our pillar of light, into that ascension process, that higher truth where we're really tuning into ancient wisdom, to universal wisdom, to where we're really pulling out of our mind and our mental body and into that spiritual perspective. And so really hand over the worry and open up to getting curious, what wants to come through. And also I feel like many of you are actually channels, are actually channels and are meant to channel wisdom and share that wisdom with your people and your communities. It's definitely something I teach more on in my Soul Success Unleashed course and my level 2 course, especially, where we work on really tuning in and tapping into channeling. So some of you might be just wanting that, like getting that validation. I feel like for some of you who I feel are awakening in this process for yourself, and you might be hearing that it's time to be teaching workshops or sharing, channeled messages. And that definitely feels true. So if that's a validation for some of you, but I feel all of us have access to this. Some of us may just be doing it for ourselves, and some of us are being called to share as our gift. And so it is saying, connect with that for yourself, hand over the worry, zoom out, get a spiritual perspective, and look at, what next step can I take from here? What wants to come through? And then in some cases, if you feel called to be sharing or blogging or teaching a course, well, what wants to be shared? This is what I do for my monthly workshops. I tune into my collective and for all my programs, really. But for the monthly workshops, it's always very much, I don't know too far ahead what the topics will be, maybe one or two, because I'm reading the collective energy of those I'm meant to serve. Who's going to be watching this live or replay? Even for these readings, I do that, right? And so it's like tapping into the voice of the universe and allowing that to be expressed through you. Okay. And it does also feel like part of that is also activating that the DNA and your higher upper fifth dimensional chakras and all that is a part of the process, right? It's a part of the up level process and energetically. Let's see, Tracy says, Soul Success Unleashed is awesome. Recommend it. Can't wait for the mastery. I know, I'm so excited. So excited. The level 2 mastery drops, the module will drop on Thursday, which is all about certainty. And we get into the channeling more. So that's to come, Tracy. All right, so Rainbow Dragon, it says, brings the leap of joy that opens new doors. Have trust, rediscover wisdom and expect miracles, accept opportunities. So this is definitely, I feel like the first half of the month, definitely feminine energy. Second half of the month, we're adding a little bit more action and more masculine energy in that balance, of course, right? But this is where tuning into joy. So the joy, the vibration of joy is happy, right? The joy vibration is magnetic. The joy vibration is your signpost to what you're being called to live next. Like it's leading you in the direction of where you're being called to. This doesn't necessarily mean this is the one scapegoat by sometimes I see in the spiritual community is like, oh, it doesn't feel good, so it must be wrong. Well, you have to start to get really good at discerning the difference between what does out of alignment feel like and what is fear of the right direction feel like, because out of your comfort zone, right? Because our miracles and our ascension process is always on the other side of fear. So you really want to sit with that and really, really tune into that. And when we do that and we tune into that barometer of joy and expectancy of miracles, that's the other thing that stepped out to me, is like being in that space of, okay, so I already know your heart's desire is going to happen. Why? Because you have everything you need to create it, and you're the master creator of your entire life and business. So whatever you truly deeply desire can happen, right? So you know that. So being in that space of expectancy of the miracle, I can't wait to see how this gets to unfold. Okay, universe, guide me the way. Give me those one or two steps at a time. This is where the spiritual discipline of the morning routine becomes so, so, so important, because when we get in the thick of it, it can get intense. It can get murky. We may not see the whole strategy mapped out. And this is where we have to get good at surrender and trust ourselves, trust the universe, trust our spiritual support team, that we drop into that intuitive guidance and that spiritual wisdom, and we take the actions one or two steps at a time, knowing that the next step's going to come, right? The next steps don't come though until we take a step, right? And that's the tricky part. And that's where, well, it's not the tricky part, it's just where we have to cultivate faith and trust in ourselves in this process. And we do that through the little steps each day. We do that through the little steps each day. And then you start to build confidence in your intuition and in your guidance, and develop your intuition is probably the best gift that you could give yourself. That's what I believe. That's why I teach it. Right? Because it's life changing when we can have that level of trust. And you don't get validation of it until you start to take the step and then see the validation. And like somebody mentioned earlier, the synchronicity of like, oh, I was wanting this and then ending up here, right? And it's exactly the message that was needed. Like in that sense, you're following it. That is part of feeling your way into alignment through life, right? Where it could easily just blow it off and say, oh, I'll come back to it later, right? We do that. So just pay attention. I have immediate channeling when I see the pictures, which are codes of fantastic artists, and I share channel content below this post and in comments. That's beautiful. So I can't see the second part of that because it's on my phone, the whole entire comment, but it basically is saying that you are a channel, and you channel, I want to say, codes and through art, which is very powerful. And art is very intuitive, right? Art and light codes, light language can be channeled through symbols, through patterns, through color, right? Through pictures and images. And then it gets, you get that transmission. So that's really, really awesome. I love that. So planting seeds, it says seeds of grace are being planted in the fertile soil of my soul. And so this is like, again, earlier in the month, it was saying, what's your heart's desires? What is your heart's desires? Tune in, right? And then it's planting the seeds. And then it says exceeding expectations, I soar into excellence. And then it says proceed softly. So let's break this down. So basically this is saying, this rainbow dragon also says, open the new doors. Recognize you've asked for something. Now recognize your signs and your miracles are trying to come in, right? Whether it's a course or a person or a book or whatever your next step is that's got that next answer for you. You've asked. Now lean back and pay attention to the synchronicity and the signs. Ask for the signs you can understand and take action on it, right? And then plant your seeds. So start to take action on the downloads, on the inspirations, on the ideas that you get in order to share your message with the world or your art with the world or whatever it is, right? And you've been planting the seeds. This is a validation too. You have been doing a lot of work planting the seeds, but continue to do that. And then you're going to exceed with high expectations. You're going to soar into excellence. And I just see, it kind of reminds me back in the beginning of in the first part of the month, we had the stepping into your power. And now they're like really owning their light and their magic and their divine creative ability, right? Your creative power as a spiritual being that we all have, and trusting the process and taking the action leads to what do I want to say? Exciting things, right? It leads to success. That's what I'm trying to say. The last one, well, actually, a couple cards, says, my inner power grows in moments of quietude. So again, we can't abandon that divine feminine. And for the rest of our life, we're going to be leading. We're going to be wanting, because we're so programmed in our genetics, right? From years of DNA from our ancestors, right? In just our own lives as well in this lifetime of pushing and burning out, right? That way is not going to work. It's going to be a constant daily dance of looking at how can you integrate that masculine and feminine energy, the daily dance of that. In fact, that was the workshop series I did last year, because that's important. So you can, I don't know where that is. I don't know. If you're interested in that topic, let me know. But integrating how we take action, right? It's about leaning into our divine feminine energy that we all have, and then taking action, and then coming back, and then taking action. And you're going to get much further, much more quickly, right? But you got to recognize when you're starting to hit burnout, because you're going to hit burnout a lot more quickly than maybe you used to be. So proceed softly. My inner power grows in the moments of quietude. So remembering to every day, every week, everyone's creative process is a little different. Some of us might go inward for, man, not that we don't do anything, but like in terms of like the creative process might be inward, feeling stuck, inward, like surrendering into the inward processes of meditation and journaling, and then boom, action for a couple of weeks, and then go back inward, right? And some people, and I do think we should have some form of both every day to a degree, right? At the very minimum, 5 or 10 minutes of inward, but I think more than that's beneficial. Half hours when it starts getting really good, I think, but 5 minutes is better than no minutes, right? So if you think you have time, spend 5 minutes with yourself before you start your day. But then sometimes you can go because you're so tuned into that alignment that you can just work. Like sometimes I'll just work, but it's in like a very aligned place because the creativity is just inspiring through me. And it's very easy for me to do that. But then I got to take longer times of rest sometimes, right? And so we have to make ourselves not wrong for that. We have to really pay attention to our own balance within each day so that we can stay in the momentum and keep seeing that inner time. And that quiet time is a part of your everyday work day. When I had that adjustment of like, this isn't if I have time, it's what sustains me as a person, as a mother, as a coach, as a whatever, right? You are going to be better for it if you are connected with yourself, right? So the last card here is Emerald, and it says ceremonies and celebration. It's a time of important life passages such as weddings, birthdays, graduations, and anniversaries. So a few things. One thing is celebrate yourself. We don't often celebrate ourselves, right? Sometimes we don't celebrate our successes along the way. We're off to the next goal, or we look at we don't count the 90% of things that we did if we missed our target by 10%, right? We are looking at what's wrong and not what we've done. So I think it's really, really important to really celebrate your successes, celebrate all you've done, celebrate who you are, right? Celebrate how you're showing up for yourself in the world. Like just celebrate the fact that we just had an intense year and we're all still here, right? We're all still moving forward, right? You've done a great job. Maybe even list out 10 things that you want to congratulate yourself for, or appreciate yourself for, or celebrate yourself for. That is so important. Celebrating the little milestones along the way helps you stay motivated and feeling worthy, and feeling like allowing yourself to kind of keep moving forward towards a bigger goal, right? Sometimes we have that bigger goal or vision in sight and it can get overwhelming and we might get disappointed and it might take longer than we think, or all of that. And if we swirl into that energy, we'll stop, we'll get derailed, right? For much longer periods of time, if not forever, right? So when we can really celebrate ourselves along the way and acknowledge our successes, that's going to be really powerful. And I also feel like there's a validation that you've just had a rite of passage. Like a lot of you guys, like it also feels like you've just completed, like there's been a big up level, like you've just gone through, like you've hit another level, like here you are, awesome job, you've arrived, like sinking into a deeper level of awareness, I feel like in your ascension journey or path. And some of you might have actual birthdays and celebrations and things like that that could be really important, or graduations, or things like that that you want to acknowledge as a milestone. But overall, I'm feeling like celebrate yourself, celebrate the milestones, celebrate the small successes along the way. It's going to carry you far and keep you tapped into that joy, which will keep you moving forward and start calling in more people, places, things, and opportunities that will sustain you. Okay. So Yeah, that is our messages. So share this out with your friends. I'm going to really, I don't think you can share from the group. So you can invite your friends to this group if they need some community. I'm going to be placing this in different places. You can share that out with your community or your groups if you feel they would be valuable. Two announcements would be I have the Stand in Your Truth on a flash sale workshop series bundle that is on sale just for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you'd like that, the information's in the description. You will get so much value. It's easily valued at $197, and it's just $37 during the flash sale. And then it's going to be available still at a great rate anytime you see this video for $57. Okay, still really great value. And there's live call time along with that to answer questions. So that is, and more. Just check it out. We do an aura reading, a clearing. There's a video training. There's workbook activity, and there's Q&A time. So there's a lot packed in there that'll support you throughout the month and really standing in your truth and speaking your truth and healing at a deeper level. There's a lot of healing in the heart that came up here today for sure. And a lot of that sometimes has to do with deeper levels of clearing out where we have repressed energy. So thank you so much for joining me. Oh, and the other thing would be I'll add into here as well is the annual reading. So I did a free annual reading for the entire year. And so like I'm doing the monthlies, I do my little shorter weeklies. I did an annual one for the first time, which is really powerful. And so that'll kind of give you a bigger overview picture to tune into, and keep your eyes peeled because I'll be doing these each month. I think that they're going to be really helpful to ground the energy ahead of time so that we can have more success in aligning with our higher path, right? We always get a choice based on our decisions, and we can always realign with that higher path anytime we choose, right? And so that is my intention with this here, and to get to know you guys more too. So thank you guys for showing up with me. This is brings me lots of joy. So I look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.